Hey YouTube, this is going to be PPK doing a couple replays from the test server, mostly revolving around the FV215B 183. Tofu will not be here for this one. Unfortunately, he didn't feel like downloading the test server. And what that means is he cannot watch replays from the test server. He needs a test server client to watch replays from it. So, with that being said, let's just move on with this. A couple things you should know about this tank if you don't already. Reload with a full equipment set, as in ventilation, gunline drive, with 100% crew, without BAA or running T, which is the premium consumable. You'll be getting 25.14 second reload with this 183mm gun. Speed-wise, you should expect the same as if you own or have played the regular FV215B heavy tank. Not much change there. Accelerates the same. Tends to keep the same top speed. This is highway, just rolling up on the city here. Didn't really want to go anywhere else. This thing seems to perform pretty well in the city with its HESH round, so that's what we're going to be trying in this set of replays. Is really taking a look at the controversy behind the HESH rounds for this vehicle, and seeing whether or not they work, or not. So. Also don't know, the turret only turns 45 degrees left and right. So it's not like the E4, it doesn't get that much of a turret traverse. It's not 180 left right, it's just 45. Makes coming around corners difficult. So here, aim time is pretty atrocious, but that should be expected with a gun of this caliber. Just aiming it on this, take a shot. It is a crit, no damage on the gun. That was kind of disappointing. I was at least expecting to kill it, since I am firing an AT variant of a shell. Looking at this 183, I see he just now fired 25 whole seconds. It's really, really brutal. So I take this advantage and just get my shell almost loaded. I see he's moving up more, so I get up there with him. Take my shot, and it's 1800 damage flat with a fire. That's what I was really looking to try and get. That pretty much sells it for me right there, that this tank has issues. I can't justify that amount of damage in one shot as a landborne vehicle, not like an SPG, but just as an actual tank destroyer. There's really no reason for that number to be had. Sure, I take a shot. I don't know what happens with XVAB here, but it just fucks up at the top left. But regardless, I hit the 113, the Tier 10 Chinese Heavy's track. And since this is a HESH round, high explosive round, it actually splashed the two vehicles. But as I was saying, I'm a long-time player of Tier 10s, and I cannot see this being justified if it was to be actually put in the game from this test variant into the actual game. Doing in excess of 2,000 damage in one shot with a premium round and a premium one only. That just seems to me to be another scheme of getting people to buy gold rounds. 15-18 on the damage counter there. Side turret shot on 113. Again, that's even exceeding what I would really think would be balanced. I think with the last Tier 10 tank destroyer patch, they really hit the sweet spot for damage, as where they should stop increasing the amount of damage you can do in one shot in Tier 10. And I think this thing was just pushing it a little bit too far, in my opinion. Right here, this kind of gets awkward. Waiting for him to shoot the bounce, but he shoots my track instead. I look for my repair kit. I already used it earlier in the match. Don't have a toolkit, equipment or anything like that, so unfortunately for me, his reload is in sync with my track repair, so I get to sit here for another like 20 seconds until a 50B comes to save me. Awesome drive-by with a 50B. Although the reload may be brutal, again, I can't see the thing being balanced if it were to be released like this. I understand that it has major disadvantages, like it has a turret, okay, that's great, but it can only turn 45 degrees, and that makes shooting a corners very, very awkward. It was 699 with this guy. Not a shock for me because I hit him right in the turret area. This thing's not designed to go through a 250 some millimeter turret very well with HESH rounds, so he gets picked up. It has its disadvantages, but I don't think it's very heavily outweighed by the fact that you can potentially one-shot all tier 10 mediums in the game. So I think that's, I don't care if this tank has 1 health. If you can play it right, you can still output that amount of damage in 1 shot and get away with it. I just don't think that's right. But opinions are opinions. I know there are people who support this tank, and I respect that. It's the last stragglers here. 121 on Tortoise. 50B is taken out. Luckily, I take out this 51 shell, which was an AP shell. It goes right to my track. Probably would have killed me if it would have actually done damage, so that was nice.
Tracks up, let's go.
This is my last HESH round I have. This tank only has 12 shells available.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
Pointing out to the team where the S51 probably is, and that should be the end of this. So I have a set of 2 replays for this specific vehicle. One, which was this one, to show what it's capable of in terms of having a decent, typical match. And the next one is when you won't be seeing those damage rolls with HESH shells. It just didn't happen. There wasn't anything I was specifically doing wrong in terms of shooting on tanks. I was making the same shots as in this match, close and long range, and they just weren't doing the same amount of damage. Regardless, that was this replay. Ended up with 6,000 damage, 2 kills. Let's move on to the next one, which kind of looks at what happens when those, HESH rounds don't exactly work out for you. So, okay, and this is the second of the 2 replays on this tier 10 take to server. This one dealing more with what it looks like, how the gameplay will be if your HESH shells, mostly at range, don't really work out for you damage roll wise. And even at close range, when they don't exactly, peak at that, what you're expecting, that 1k plus, 1.5k plus. So this is Mountain Pass. Most of the team going north, and then along this road to my right here going south along the 1 line. So I figured, you know what? This is the test server. I'm throwing HESH rounds in this tank that could potentially one-shot. I'm gonna go middle. I never go middle. I'm doing it. So that's where I go. Figure with a weapons platform like this that can potentially one-shot, it's all about exchanging fire and not taking any damage back at middle. So don't see anybody there off the bat. Just give it a second. Figure I'll just get in a hold down position before I do anything else. Which, I took that as far as I wanted it because although that may look good, to a premium shell from a 268 or something of that sort, that's nothing. And it is the test server, so you see a lot of that. And I just gotta sit here for a while as my team dies, so I'll speed this up a little bit. And finally, something to shoot at. A 183 and a Tortoise come around. I take one at the 183, it goes right into the top of his Glacius, and I see 685. Now that wasn't too surprising, because I can understand at this range and at that angle, this is not an armor-piercing shell. It's not going to get a flat rate of damage if it pens. It's going to get anywhere between, like 150 and, 2,000. So I got 685. I said, okay, that's probably because of range and the angle. I'll go with it. So next shot I take lands somewhere in between the turret and the hull, and that was also a 600 series damage roll, so that was kind of disappointing. I figured, he flattened out a bit, he's a little bit closer, maybe I'll get a better damage roll. Still not even 700, so that was disappointing. And I guess he doesn't have much else he can do anyway, so he comes around the corner. And right here, it's with any other tank that has a turret, he probably would have been able to at least get a shot out. But I have to say, this coming around corners with this vehicle is just so awkward. With this 45-degree left and right turret, coming around corners is so difficult because it still keeps that tank destroyer characteristic of keeping the turret in one place. And tank destroyer users know what I mean. It's very, very difficult to come around corners and effectively, shoot quickly. So here, that long reload is brutal. I get another 600 roll, 677. I was expecting to get, some kind of a gold mine shot in between here somewhere at this range. Anything above 800, 900, I'd be happy with. But I'm still hitting these 700 rolls like I'm a yak tiger. So I see he's backing off for, looks like for good, for the rest of the match. Look again. Validate that. Okay, so going back to middle, looks like this is pretty much over, so I figure, okay, I'll just see if I can get some kind of a damage roll out, just to say, I did like 1500 this match. Okay, it's not such a bad damage roll tank. So right is a 268, flat surface, 699. I was pretty surprised about that. That was next to point blank. I got a very flat surface. He was pointing down, giving me a better indent on his angle, so that was not too much of like a an indent shot. That was pretty legit flat surface shot. 699. So that's probably the most surprising of the ones I took this round here. I just see if I can bounce a shot with this supposed 254 millimeters of armor. I don't. It is underglazed, so I can understand that. Add in the fact it's a 268 firing your premium shell. Good luck. So HESH loaded. I figure I'll finish him off. Right somewhere around the left-hand side of his tank. Does 130 damage. At this point I was just kind of giving up on trying to kill anybody. That was the last of my HESH shells. I loaded 6 and 6. His tank can only hold 12. So I was kind of losing faith in HESH shells at this point. Like, my last round in the tank, last replay you saw, pretty awesome. Got a lot of almost 1800 damage hits in there, 1500. A lot of max damage hits. That this tank is known for so far in this build of the test server. And this is pretty MLG. I just get this Tortoise out of here, right through gun and turret. Gun and hole. And the standoff. And I don't actually get another shot out. Unfortunately, I would have loved to finish that 268 or the bat shot that comes at me, but with my ping being somewhere I don't recognize, like 180, that really sucks as you play on 40 to 50. That's killer for me. I don't recognize what I should be doing with that kind of ping. So totally fluke that. I'm dead. That's the end of that. But so pretty garbage damage rolls there for HESH. I have to say that's probably the worst I've experienced with this tank in over 30 games so far on the test server. So that's just a showcase of that. That's it for the replays on this tank. Couple more. I got a Tortoise and a T62, so. Right, and here's the replay of the Tortoise. This one's pretty quick. This is probably the tank I'm most excited about in this patch. Tier 9 British tank destroyer in this release. And I don't know why I got in this match, but I did. I just got thrown into it. It's a bunch of tier 9s and tier 8s. And no tier 10s. So this was pretty awesome for me to be able to try this tank because, I can see what it does in its own tier against its own tier of opponents, because the test server is filled with tier 10s. So if you notice already, only going about 20 to 21 kilometers per hour. That is the top. So that's, I'm not going to call that bad because I played T95 quite a bit. Long since moving on from it though. And that tank was hell for movement speed, and anybody who's still on that tank or anywhere around that with the T28, this tank is so good speed wise. Anything makes a difference. One kph makes a difference. When you add 7 or 8 kph on that, that's heaven. So other things about this tank is the rate of fire is very impressive. That's something they added that hasn't really been in this game implemented yet. Here comes a T64A. Here's the damage roll. That's the lowest damage roll possible, 300. So like 300 is very, very fast reload. Again, 300, 2 low damage rolls in a row. Another thing about this tank is the field of fire, left to right traverse, is extremely good. Take him out of the equation. Yak Tiger 8.8 on the planet. compare that track. Again, the field of fire is very impressive, and this thing's heavily armored on the front and sides and rear. That's another thing. On paper, this is probably the most heavily armored tank in the game for all-around armor. It's got the same amount on the sides as it does on the front, which is 225, and 179 on the rear. Keep in mind, when this is posted, this is the first iteration of the test server, so that is subject to change anytime. Save point goes down. Again, just the amount of fire this thing can lay down. Yag Tiger dies. 120's getting lit up by the whole team. Just looking at where I got penned there. I got penned in the cupola, so that's understandable. Also the aim time, I'll also point this out especially when I aim at this SPG over here. Again, that field of fire is very massive. Just the aim time and accuracy of this gun is incredible right there. Very satisfying. Travel time's pretty decent. So that's a quick look at the Tortoise. I'm really excited for this tank. Anybody who is related, to wanting to play the T62A or the T95 or a mix of those two tanks, really enjoy this vehicle. Highly recommend this vehicle. If they don't, nerf it heavily. I'd like to see it stay where it's at, because I think it's right where it should be, balance-wise. Brings a new level of gameplay that hasn't been seen before. Armor plus that quick rate of fire to the game. So I'd like to see this implemented as it is. So last replay here is the T62A. Alright, here's the last replay I have for you today on my little solo run. This is T62 on Fjords. This is not on the test server, this is the actual server. Really wanted to upload this one just for a filler. If everything else was more gameplay related to the test server, Nothing uploaded there is supposed to be amazing, it's just supposed to showcase, these tanks in their normal habitat on this, this first iteration of the test server, what they look like, how they play. If you were looking for something decent, this is the replay. Start this one off going south between Maiden and Artie, and it pretty useless in this match, 1375. Feel kind of bad that I actually started with him in that, but regardless, he wanted to play it, whatever. So I see a lot of teammates going north, a lot of south. I'm feeling good about this match. And this is probably not the best time to have to use the bathroom. So I will speed this up and get back to where I was when I came back. Awkward, awkward, awkward. So much awkward. Okay. Apparently not yet. 1375, platoon make is taken out there. Okay, finally, here we go. So we got a couple heavies that are right on the open for Artie. I think they get splashed in a second for quite a bit of health. Should be right here. Yeah, that sucks for the T110. So I see this is not going too good. North seems to be okay, but down here this is, I'll just say typical, pub match, so I see an IS-3, I see a M48 pad, I see a couple things that, I'm not going to bonsai rush out there quite yet. Wouldn't exactly want to take a shot from the IS-3, so I'm just going to let the heavy go first. Figure, okay, he's not going to take the shot. Originally going for him, say, nope, don't want to go top. I'll take him and then continue bottom, so keep running as it comes out. See an M48 in front of me. That was silly. Use my repair kit there. I'm pretty surprised I won't have to use that repair kit this whole match. So just trying to take some kind of position in the middle. As I saw our north just got over. Two guys are dead. We have no SPG now, as one of my platoon mates was the SPG of the team. I've seen a lot of red, but also some green, there's still hope. So 4155 right there. It's really just trying to dance around for SPGs. I know they couldn't hit me there, but it is a Tiger, good splash. Making sure I was safe from other tanks. Still looking up there. Super pushing, not a huge threat, but still. No, I'm considering what to do here. I see way too much red and not enough green north. So, choose to go north. I know they're going to be on our cap. Since that last tank, the T34 just died, we have nobody on our cap or anywhere around it. So it's not looking good at this point in time for a team. I know I am at tier 10. We have an E5 still there, alive. I know he's at pretty low HP though. He's the one who got splashed by the tiger. And an E4 who doesn't seem to be too intelligent because he's not following me back to the cap. But, whatever. And this ISH who likes to back up. So, not too much hope at this point. I see the swarming mid. Alright, series dead. Losing the numbers advantage pretty quick, so that sucks. 1390.
Enemy armor is hit.
And an E4. I didn't want to see that E4 quite yet, but...
Penetration.
Just trying to play it safe here, maybe get some lights to see what he's doing. I know there's an ISA behind me that will in a second make a pretty, I guess, good move because of how it turned out, but there I saw he got killed by the E4. So I don't have any potential 1K damage shell coming at me, which helps me a lot. Try and get this thing to crit damage me. He misses instead. Works for me.
He's gone. Find another target.
You see in the east we have a T44 and an M103 just on their cap. We're on their cap. Just
Nice shot.
hoping they can take something done with them because I know they're not going to live. I don't know what this E4
Got him.
I mean, whatever. Works for me. Excuse me. So I see the M103 takes out the bad chat. Now in retrospect that probably would have lost us the match if he would stay alive, so that was a critical move for how I won this. He goes down, unfortunately. I'm hoping for the T44 to do something, anything. I don't care what he kills or what he damages, just, you know, get a shell out. I see a awkward T34 come down the mountain. He takes an awesome, like, stop shot. Excellent aim.
We've got them.
Let's make sure I'm safe. Not much to worry about, just take him out.
We finished him off.
Considering my options here, if it's, I'm just thinking if this T44 dies, you know, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Because I know I'm still at quite a bit of health, and they only have 2 tier 9s and 2 tier 8s. You know, how hard can it be? So I see the T44 dies, and immediately I'm thinking, okay, you know, I'm not just gonna rush in there and try and 1v4 this out. Let's try and do something a little bit different. So try to get lights on something. Waiting for something to cross right in front of me. I'm just waiting for it. Thought it was gonna happen. It doesn't happen. So again, this whole time I'm just considering my options. You know, what are the chances if I go find, you know, all 4 of them? What are the chances I'm going to split them and, you know, find 2? How much damage are going to take from that? You know, all this is going on. And at this point, I'm just seeing if they're going to go for my, you know, my cap. Are they going to come searching? Things of that sort. I see not much going on, passing in front of me, so maybe not going for the cap, at least down the road I wanted to, and then a T30 gets lit. So I know there's a high chance I was lit too, so I figured why don't I just make them think I'm dragging on towards their cap. Okay, well, we have 1 tank going to our cap, so why don't all 4 of them just run to my cap? So that's what I guess ended up happening here. So a little bit of a fake. Really, really good that there's no RD. I'm expecting this teacher to come just to like run around the corner and, you know, this massive beard. Waiting, nothing happens, nobody gets lit. I have no clue where they are. I'm saying at this point, okay, maybe I split their forces enough, maybe I wasn't lit, so I'll just go see if they're coming to our cap in a second. If not, I'll just go try and defend it if they are. And I still see nothing, so I check again. No, nothing here. Alright, I guess I'll just go back to my cap. And what do you know? I catch a T30 and a T28 on the way back to my base, both full HP. This looks really bad for me, but then I find this excellent game-saving spot. awesome hold down spot. These two have an incredibly hard time penetrating me, and I don't think they damaged me at all this whole time I drained their HP. T28 does have a pretty nice front, but firing T62 AP shells, I mean, this thing has a great baseline pen, an amazing baseline pen, going right through easily. I know their reloads, I know how much time I have, I know my tank's advantages. T3 not playing as intelligently as he could. I was really mad that didn't pen, for damage at least. And here he messes up pretty terribly. That would have won him the game if I'd have been damaged. Track no damage on me there. T28 not doing anything particularly interesting. Figured that would pen. Didn't. Okay, I know they're not very fast on the trigger. T28 messes that up terribly. I get the T30 before he can get his shell out. T30. And this T28 is defenseless. Nothing new here. So, make quick with that. I know there's 2 tanks left. I have a great amount of HP to face them. I just don't need to face them 2 at the same time. So, going back to my cap, you know, they see me on the map. I'm going towards that. So maybe they'll try and do something that, you know, I can manipulate. Now I'm going back this direction. Maybe I'll catch somebody in a, you know, a place they weren't expecting. I'll get the shot out first. That kind of thing. Always looking for an advantage. You know, whether it's mentally or just in combat. So. And what do I find? Going to cut me off. A Patton. Awkwardly going up a hill. Not quite aware of what's happening yet. Now he sees me. And T62's superior rate of fire here. He doesn't even move to, you know, get a better kind of armor stance, although I guess it wouldn't matter. I'm looking for the best hold down spot possible. It works out for me to bounce a shot. And at this point I've loaded a heat shell because I know the super person's going to show up, and there he is. And penetration, no damage. I was kind of angry about that, but again, it's a super person. Spaced armor. Okay, he goes down. That's all I needed my heat for. And I was getting a little bit scared here because I'm at 7%, but then I remembered, you know what, I'm a 62A, I have the superior rate of fire, and that's that. Need a drink. So that game was 8,200 damage, 8 kills, and my platoon mates were totally happy. I totally ruined their double for them, so that was nice. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. This will probably be the only one of these for a while, unless the feedback is great or something. Definitely let me know what you think. Sucks that I did solo this one, but I'm sure Tortoise has a couple of videos coming up for you guys soon. Actually, I know he does. 1 or 2 more coming up this week, so looking forward to that. Again, thank you for watching. Take it easy.